Welcome back to the Virtual Shelling Network. We are here at Lighthouse Pointe. It is a beautiful day and the water is pretty calm. There were a couple dolphins out there when we first arrived, but then they went away really quickly. So I'm hoping that maybe they'll come back. Lighthouse is a fantastic place to see wildlife, sea life, both in the water and on land. There are lots of birds here, a little seagull fishing. You can see some tortoises sometimes up by Lighthouse behind me in this wildlife habitat area. And then of course there's dolphins and fish and all kinds of fun things here, including oftentimes you'll find some sea life like sand dollars, starfish, live shells, which is really fun. So we are gonna check out, there's kind of a good little rack line going on with some beach trash, you know, the kind of trash that comes from the ocean, not necessarily the type of garbage that people leave behind, but I love exploring the rack line. So we are going to check it out. All right, so if you guys can see, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Hello. So you guys can see there's kind of like a rack line that formed here, and then there's one right here where you can see the high tide water came, and then there's one up here, and then there's kind of a high one up there too. So we're gonna kind of try to see, as the sun's at an awkward angle right now, we're gonna get down here and see what we can find. And of course there is always some actual beach trash, so we're gonna pick up any that we find so it doesn't get washed back out. So the fun thing about checking out the rack line when it has some kind of, like, you know, beach trash like this, here's a little barnacle cluster, look how cute, is that you can find not only really fun shells but other beach treasures. So a lot of times we'll find starfish or sea urchins or driftwood. Like here's a little piece of driftwood here. Sometimes we'll find egg casings, like mermaid purses, sea pearls. I love sea pearls or mermaid pearls or knicker nuts, whatever you choose to call them. But those are sea beans, and they're one of my favorite beach treasures to find. Sometimes you'll come across bones like this. So we don't really have a lot of fossils here. In this area, you would have to go a little bit further north, the Peace River or up by Venice, Inglewood area. That's where you're gonna find your fossils, your shark teeth. This is just a regular bone, probably from I would guess like a pig. They use those as bait in crab traps. So once the crabs eat all of the meat off, the bones just fall out of the trap and then wash ashore. Here's a cute little slipper shell, perfect little slipper shell or Indian boat, however you'd like to call them. That's a really pretty one. And let's see what else we can find. So I always say to look for these mangrove seeds. So you can't take these are protected, even though they might be dead up on the beach, you still cannot take them, but these are mangrove seeds, and they'll form little roots as they float in the water right here on the end. Let me see if I can focus. But this is where you'll find a lot of sea beans. When you see these wash up on the beach, that's when you can keep your eye open for sea beans, sea pearls, and that type of thing. Ooh, do you see this really pretty murex hiding? Apple murex right here, hiding in all of this stuff. Oh, it's got a little barnacle on it too. Look how cute. Look at that. Beautiful little shell. We always like to make sure that our shells are empty before taking them. Here's another little piece of driftwood right here. It's a fun little piece. Another thing that we find sometimes, not super often, is sea whips. So I do love finding sea whips. We don't find them super often here, but sometimes we do during wash-ups like this. So always keep your eye out for those as well. So here's a little juvenile conch right here. Sometimes at the top of the rack line, so right up here at the top is where you can sometimes find your minis and your tinies. Sometimes that's a great place to kind of look. Here's a little button shell here. Oops. Here. And over here, here's a little bubble shell. So cute. So just in like this top area is sometimes a really good place if you're looking for your minis and your tinies. And oh, here we've got a little, I call them sea trees. That's not like an official term. It's just what I call them. This one is on a really big cardita. So sometimes you'll find them on arc shells. You try to get some of the seaweed off. But they're just little, I call them sea trees, but they are kind of like a sea whip that grows in the water. But I just think they're so cool. And this one's broken a little bit. Let's get that off there. Isn't that so cute? So this is so fun. You could glue that on a piece of canvas or stick it in a shell bowl for a little bit of texture in your shell bowl. But I mean, that's another example of just a beach treasure that I really like to find. Oh, I get asked this a lot. Do you guys see the little snail right here? Tiny. Okay, so this is a land snail. See that? I get asked that a lot. Sometimes you'll find them on the beach. Very tiny. I'm trying to focus in and not move. But this is a land snail. Their shells are very, very thin. And they're usually very tiny. This kind of land snail anyway. But they are usually found on the land, not the water, but sometimes they fall off of mangroves and then wind up washed up on the beach. So let's see what else we can find. Here's another really fun piece of driftwood here. I love driftwood. We don't get a lot of driftwood here, but sometimes. And for anybody that wants to know what a sand flea looks like, so everybody's always asking about sand fleas. Sand fleas are not fleas like you find on your dog. Sand fleas are more like little crabs, and this is what one looks like. Okay. Oh, he is still alive. We'll put him back in the water. But this is a sand flea. He's not gonna hurt me. He's not gonna bite. A lot of people use them for fishing, but this is what they look like. Got little feet on the bottom. So we're gonna take him back to the water, and I'm gonna see if you guys can watch them. They bury themselves backwards. So let me wait for a little wave to come here and to get washed out. Let's see if he'll bury into the sand for you. Oh. I got him. All right, let's see if he'll bury. Oh, there he goes. I'm gonna try to bury into the sand. Go ahead, buddy, into the sand. Go, go, go. Oh, here comes the water. Uh-oh. Now I don't know where he went. Okay, so that gives you guys a look at the little sand fleas. I wanted to come back but my eye had caught a couple other little things here. So one is this little, look at this little oyster. Look how cute. So winged oysters they're usually easy to tell because they've got a wing. And you see the wing, oops. There we go. It's tiny and it's still intact, which is really cool. But it's a little mini, tiny oyster, but you guys can see the wing there. So that's what they look like. And then I thought I saw a little cockle shell here. Look how cute. Seriously, how cute, right? How cute is that? With its little pattern. Tiny little cockle shell. It's so crazy because they get so big. Those giant heart cockles get ginormous. Oops, and here's a little fishing bead, so we'll pick this up too. and take that into the trash. And here, let's see if you guys can see what I see. I'll leave this here for a second for you. There's a little operculum, which is a trap door of a shell right here. These are fun beach treasures too. Here, so this is what keeps the critter inside nice and safe. So we like to collect operculums. Here's a little spotted slipper shell or Indian boat right here. Lots of little shells. You guys know I'm like attracted to the little shells. I can spot them, no pun intended, from quite a ways because they're always on my radar. Let's come up here and see if we can find any littles up here in the higher rack line. Let's see. Here's a piece of fishing line. Uh-oh. Oh, it's attached to something. I don't think I'm gonna be able to. Come on. All right, well, we might not be able to take this piece of fishing line because it's pretty caught on something. Oh, I hate leaving trash behind, but that is not coming out. Okay, here's a little button shell right there. See if we'll come back and see if husband has a pocket knife in his bag to cut that. Let's see what else. Here's another little operculum right here. It looks like a little leafy jewelry box too right here. Ooh, and a little cat's eye too. It could be a spiny oyster, although it might be a spiny oyster actually. Can you guys see that? Those are two shells that are, uh-oh, I just dropped, there it is, are difficult sometimes for me to distinguish because they come in such a variety. Let's see what else we have. There's another cardita, which I love. I think they're such an underrated shell. They're so pretty. And then we have a really cool little, it looks like a little drill, and it's got a lot of little barnacles hanging onto it. You can see these barnacles, they're still in there. Okay, they're not empty. This one right here is empty, but these are still filled with critters. So I'm gonna toss that back. And here we have, totally camouflaged in, we have a sea urchin. So here he is. And I don't know if he is alive or not, but listen guys, like anytime you find something washed up on the beach, please take a moment and see if it is alive. And if you are not sure, put it back, okay? First thing you can do is you can flip them over, especially if there's starfish. You can check and see if their feet are moving. Okay, if you don't see feet moving, sometimes you can tickle them in the middle here where their mouth is. Do you guys see his feet moving now? Did you see that? So he is alive. He's not moving very much. Try to zoom in a little more for you guys so you can see. But his little feet, one thing you can do is like pull their feet out. Do you see him move them back? Okay, so this is a way that you can tell that they are still alive. So we're gonna take him, that's his little mouth right there. So we're gonna take him and place him back in the water because he might be just stranded out here and might need to get back in. And then over here we have a fun little crab shell. So let's see, a little speckled crab, super cute. Now this could just be a shed. So the crab could be totally fine. This might just be part of his shed. Crabs do shed their shells, as do lobsters and crayfish. But that is a really fun beach treasure too. They are very fragile, so keep that in mind when you put them in your shell bag. You just want to make sure that you're careful and you don't just dump your shells out when you get home and accidentally break or crack them. Ooh, and here we've got an egg casing. Look how pretty. Let's check it out. And before we do that, I want you guys to see there's little slipper shells right here. So there's a slipper shell that's empty, and then there's 2 slipper shells on top hanging on. So they are still alive. So we'll go ahead and put them back. Okay, so let's check out our egg casing here. And what's really cool about this one is we've got 2 different egg casings. So we have this one, and you can see, let's see that this one has hatched. So there's a little hole right here. Hopefully you guys will be able to see the little hole right there. And there should be the same hole on every single. There, can you guys see the hole there? Oh, hold on, I'm zooming. All right, there, you can see it right there at the top. And every case, every little individual sack has the same hole in there. So this one has hatched, and this is, I believe, a pear whelk. It's a little bit small to be a lightning whelk. And then on the top here, there's 2 little egg casings on the top. One of them is empty. This is so good for you guys to see. Okay, you can see this little hole right here. That's where they hatched. These were tulips. These were banded tulips. And then in this one, there you can kind of still see remnants of the shells still in there. So this one did not hatch. You see that? So that you can kind of see the hole right here where it would have. So it's kind of like a pre-drilled little hole in the top of every egg casing so they can get their way out. So this one hatched, this one did not, and then this big one hatched too. So that is really, really neat. And let's see, this is what we call not a real fish. So if you guys ever find lures like this, they're usually made of rubber. Please pick them up because you can see that birds or fish have pecked through this, and any animal that's ingested a bunch of this could die. A lot of times the animals don't know the difference, unfortunately, from what looks like a real fish. And just be careful when you pick these up because sometimes there's still a hook on here, so you just want to be very careful that you don't pick it up and then get stabbed by that hook. You don't want to hook yourself. And look what we have here. We've got a little shark eye. Look how pretty. Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful little shark eye. Look how pretty. Gorgeous. And here's another bone. So this is another bone from a crab trap. And this looks like a piece of rubber from that lure maybe or something. So we're gonna take that and put that in the trash too. Here's a really cute little spotted slipper shell. Look how pretty. And then right here, this purple blob is sea pork. Okay, so this isn't rubber, this is an actual sea creature. They come in many different colors. They're like filter feeders. We'll toss him back into the water, give him a little chance to survive. And here's the little Docinia. Let's see if it's whole. It is! A lot of you love to paint on these shells. These make beautiful canvases to paint on. There's a group on Facebook called Sanibel Shells, and that is where you can go if you love to paint seashells. It looks like this might be a rubber band or a hair tie, so we'll pick that up as well. I'll give you guys just a quick view of the lighthouse, still decked out for Christmas. It's pretty quiet out here in the water. I don't see a whole lot of activity, and I'm keeping my eye open for you guys, so hopefully we'll be able to see some dolphins or something fun out there. Still keeping my eye out for some sea whips. I always love to find sea whips. This is another cool piece of driftwood. Look how cool this one is, kind of twisted a little bit. That's really neat. Get all that seaweed off of there. Cool. And there's another little operculum here. Here. So we've been shelling this kind of fresh rack line, but I did want to show you guys that up here we have kind of an old rack line. So don't neglect the old rack line just because there's a fresh one. There's always fun shells to be found up here. A lot of times people just think this is just old stuff and they don't even bother looking through it. I can tell you that I found some amazing things up here and these high rack lines that a lot of people just don't even see. Now I will show you, because a lot of this has been sitting here a while and the critters have dried out. I don't know if you guys can see all of the ants that are running around. There's tons of ants. So again, this is a good reason to wear beach shoes. Let me get this piece of garbage, and then I saw a bracelet too here. All right, lots of trash today. We're getting it cleaned up though. So this is the high rack line. Get that in my bag. Let's see if we find anything. Here's a little sea urchin. So again, if you find sea urchins, now this one you know is no longer alive because they're very stiff and the legs are falling off. But make sure that you clean them out. If you don't clean them out before you leave the beach, at least clean them out as soon as you get home, because they get very stinky very quickly and they will smell up your whole house. There's an olive right here. As I was walking down, almost stepped right on it. Look how pretty. Beautiful, shiny, big olive. And we're getting down to the point here. And our rack line's getting a little bit sparse, which isn't uncommon. It just all depends on where the waves are pushing all of the shells and all of the stuff. There's a little piece of a little apple murex. There's another little sea urchin. There's a little pretty little scallop. Beautiful little scallop. Oh my gosh, you guys, we have like come to the end, but it's really not the end.